credible replications of other experiments that they're getting positive results, where if we get enough of them together, and I don't know, I got to put the media together in the right way and just show people what's going on, how the physics work, and explain it in as simply uh, and easily as I can, then we'll get. Yeah, you're right. I think
I
that.
mean, I got to take exception to when you were talking about Dave, not being formally educated. Well, formal education is indoctrination. They pounded down the
Yeah,
Maxwell's
but
equations. So any electrical engineer that comes up to you, and I'm an electrical engineer too, and starts quoting Maxwell, well, he's quoting the wrong thing. So he's using the appeal to authority method of logic. That's a logical fallacy. We see in these EVOs in ball lightning an observable fucking thing that doesn't hold. So don't wait for their approval. We can get onto it. Anyone here can have their own theory about it and talk about it. And
yeah,
if one person,
it's about the replications mostly, than rather than the theory. The theory can come after, and the approval of any kind of academic body or establishment can come. We don't need to wait for that. You're right. We're absolutely at that point now where we don't need to publish. And I pointed this out too. Like, we can, with a video is going to be the new format for publishing experimental physics research and science, because I can learn so much more from seeing a 10-second video of someone's experimental setup and their whole, than you have to read through a paper, and you can't sometimes you can't quite accurately describe all that stuff in a paper. You'll be like, oh well, I don't know. I think that videos are going to be the way moving forward. That publications of experimental physics research are going to have to be accompanied by like videos being published with them. It's just an easier way to communicate the information. It's much more high tech, and we shouldn't like, oh, show me your paper. It's like we're relying on Gutenberg technology, dude. It's get with the times. I don't know.
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to jump in and add to, Jeremy, which is I think that for your efforts, and maybe just it's all of our efforts, right? Like we need to have like good quality production, video production to go along with it so people can see it. Because like I was saying, it is in essence a propaganda war. And you look at stuff like, I'm not even going to name them, but there are a lot of big YouTubers out there. And then there's ones in engineering as well, where like they're able to get the information out there to people because they do kind of reach to this lowest common denominator, or maybe that's not the right way to put it, but like just reach a broader audience, right? Because a lot of people can't understand all the in-depth science, but you need the papers to go along with it. But I post those papers like Bob Greenier's paper, that's basically talking about being able to produce excess power and energy, and nobody really looks at it because this goes over their heads. Like, we need to be like showing people stuff that's gonna like marvel them, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can explain a lot of different cases and different scenarios, and so I don't know. I put together that UAP technical summary where it's like a couple hundred slides of just information, and I was thinking about maybe taking that and publishing it into a book. I think that would be a good way to get all the information
Audio as
like
well.
sort of laid out for people.
Maybe
I
just
try
something
to
closer to
do
the
it more
microphone.
chronologically too, because yeah,
You
go
could
ahead.
also do like a GPT that could train people on that information. So
Oh God.
I'm
So
not I'm not sure if you've tried my Arc Commander GPT, but I have a book that I've written on exopolitics, on space age governance, that essentially now can train people to become an exopolitician, and represent a future cosmic Republic of Earth model, that could be a more westernized worldview that could replace the need for WEF and their kind of globalist worldview with a more free world, kind of view that is in alignment with the free world. But you could do that with any type of information, that you could train them with that kind of data So if you have like a book that you've written, I can show you how to create an educational class with GPT that can teach your book.
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah, that would be worthwhile. I was thinking about putting just a lecture together to give it at universities to teach people
Yeah,
about
thanks,
this
Hermes.
stuff and try to get on the speaking circuit with local colleges and stuff.
This could be a supplement to that, where the program that I've built, it uses a variety of teaching styles. It'll actually assess
My mic's
your
maxed out.
teaching or your learning style, and it will try to adjust to teach you how you want. So it can use lectures, it can reference to videos, it can generate dolly images to like demonstrate certain things. And one of the cool things that I've actually created is like a museum feature where you kind of walk through a virtual museum and look at exhibits, and it'll teach you through that process.
Yeah, man, I was working with a company that was doing Matterport, and we had this idea of making all these locations available through a virtual internet where you could do these walkthroughs of like places like that. I don't know if people are familiar with Matterport, but look it up. It's really cool technology.
Is that the one where they like walk into the store and then they scan it?
Yeah, it's like this 3D. It has a couple different cameras in it. Ones that look straight, ones that look down, and ones that look up. And it rotate. You put it in different spots, and you hide behind it, and it rotates around in 360 and takes an image of the room with two cameras. One is just a regular high definition 8K camera, and the other one is a infrared camera with a emitter that shines out a grid in infrared. So it shines out a grid on the whole structure in infrared, and then it takes a picture in infrared, and it uses that geospatial data to create a map of the space. So you
The technology from Xbox Connect, structured light, is part of it.
Yeah, it's similar
Yeah.
to
It's been around a while.
Connect
They
is
have
doing a
patents.
lot of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's able to create a virtual space where you can walk through, and essentially like it creates like a 3D space out of the whole.
You want to know a funny story about that? Is before that technology emerged, I was actually working with a company called What Corp, and we were building 3D models of condo spaces, and we were actually supposed to go down to Florida to build like a whole complex of houses, because I'm a Unity game developer, right? So one of the things that I was trying to do was build virtual real estate, and they came out with that Matterport, and it actually took out the company because it was cheaper for them to do it with the Matterport than our company could do it. And the owner of the company, What Corp, was basically like, "No, Google has created this new thing now. They can do the same thing for like a quarter of the price." So I built like, I don't know, I think it was
Google
two or
had
three
that
condos
sphere,
that
the
were
little
kind of
sphere.
that same complex, and then that business got crushed by Matterport and Google.
Well, you can do it now with a cell phone. It's called structure for motion algorithms. So you don't even need structured light anymore. You just need to walk. The trick is motion.
Yeah, it's
It's
stereoscopic.
amazing.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
amazing
Well,
stuff.
it's evolved a lot in the last couple of years. I mean, when I was doing that was in like 2012, right? And basically, I would like go to the property, take pictures, and then like try to generate a 3D model of it. It'd take me like a
Yeah.
week to put it together or whatever, but you could walk around in it, change the wall colors.
Look on YouTube, something called 3D Gaussian splatting, splatting. That's basically the software-only solution. It's not quite as refined, but give it 5 years and a lot of computing power, and it will be very, very good. All you need is a phone and a GPU. So.
Yeah, what I was gonna say too, real quick, on some of the stuff you mentioned, especially the production quality, is like maybe, especially with the APEC things, if you could find somebody or maybe even do it yourself. It sucks to do all the work yourself. I've learned from doing it myself, but like editing down a lot of those clips into like not necessarily like TikTok size, but like the shorter the better. Especially when people
I should make
like
like
crazy.
I was thinking about doing a documentary of like the best of the best, and just show like a 10-minute segment of like the best pieces of all the best
And then we can
speakers.
share that stuff, right, on social media, because that's the stuff that can get people's attention. Because, you know, I've seen people even comment on some of those, like, oh, it's 5 hours. I can't watch through all that, right? Even
Yep.
mine, like, even the interviews I've been doing, I'm trying to get down, like, an hour, because even that's too long. And then just distill it down to shorter chunks. Like, actually, that's what I'm going to do tomorrow is go through all my Hard Truths podcasts and start pulling clips and reposting some of those clips and repackaging them, because I'm looking at, like, I'm learning when I'm going on these podcasts too. And like, I was actually just looking at even at Tim Pool's stuff, and he clipped, like, I don't even know how many, at least like 10 different shorts that he posts out there, right, around the stuff. And then they all get a lot of views as well. And like, it sucks, but that's what marketing is, right?
Yeah. I think I need to maybe do more of that this year, and more packaging of the information. Like I said, a book and a documentary, I think, would be a great step. And then also, you know, we got to like find a way to get a hold of these. We got to get some. You know, we got to get. It's weird how these people like have gotten an ear, and they've gotten this huge. They've been able to work their way into ufology, get these huge followings, and then they're able to talk directly with our government and make and affect policy and decisions on all this stuff. That just blows my mind, because it's like, how do we get our information in front of these policy makers and decision makers, and how do we inform them properly? Because it's I mean, I keep calling my my local congressman and senate and talking to the staffers there and trying to just, you know, teach them as much as I can about what stuff that's going on.
You know, I wonder if there might be a thought of trying to put together like a citizens lobbying effort where we could like write bills like the corporations do that are pro UFO and try to like see if they'll endorse them so that the work is kind of already done for them. And I mean, with GPT, it could probably be done, or like other AI services, where you could kind of look into that
I'm gonna get
and
my shit
then
hacked, aren't I?
potentially, you know, assemble that and have a team of people that kind of look at these things,
Gotta be careful.
and you know, act as diplomats on behalf of the UFO community. Might be an interesting angle.
Risky clip right here.
Yeah, maybe I should just spend the day tomorrow calling up Lockheed Martin and Battelle. Like, just call them on the phone, like every number I can try to get through to someone, and recording it, and just
Record
trying
and
to.
post it.
It's Martin Luther King Day, and they're a contractor, so they're not going to be working. Just heads
Oh
up.
yeah,
I
tomorrow is
happen to know
MLK
from
Day. Yeah,
personal
right.
experience.
Right. It's
But yes, I love that idea.
18th.
Just
Well,
call them up. I think we just declare war on Lockheed Martin is the answer. These guys seem to be at the center of all this stuff. I'm sitting here
I don't
staring
like
at...
that language, Ashton. You know, I
Yeah,
like
you're
to,
right.
you know, these guys got the biggest arsenal.
Yeah.
Pretty serious, you know.
We don't stand a chance.
They'll just laser you with
What about
from
the
satellite.
Brookings Institute? I mean, so really the think tanks, just as much as the hardware guys, that are the problem.
You know, it's a lot of the bureaucracy involved
They're gonna zap us
with
with
a lot of
lasers.
different stuff. But
Mindset of these people.
the stovepiping of the operations, I think it just needs
I've
to
got my
come
audience
out
as
that,
it goes. I
you
think
know,
it's
this
just
stuff's been
relative.
covered up. It's a reality that we're probably not alone. We've probably recovered pieces of, you know, whatever,
the
and
other
it
guys
took us till
the
this
other
long
speakers
to
is much
figure
higher.
out
Sorry,
a
I'll
lot of how
balance
they
it.
worked. Although I think they made a lot of major breakthroughs in the mid '80s
This should be a little bit better.
on a lot of stuff, but it was
Yeah.
still really advanced, you know, for what the science was at the time.
They didn't have total anti-gravity and faster than light, but they had.
You don't
They
have.
were on the trajectory. So
You get a couple of these absolute genius guys like Teller and Wheeler working on the real
How do I
nuts and bolts of the whole physics
hate
program,
this format?
and you know, they write profound papers on things like quantum non-locality and you know, this idea of it from bit, the idea that at the basic scale it's all digital and that it's like a computer code, and you could hack it if you knew the code. And you know, so you have these guys were clearly working on this stuff during those, from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s to the 80s. And you look at the body of work, the things that Wheeler published, it becomes clear. You think, I used to think that Feynman, and I got into physics because of reading, Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, when I was in high school, and learning about his work on the Manhattan Project. And
I like that people are sharing this.
I used to think that he was like the most brilliant guy ever, and the most read in and knowledgeable, because he was picking all the locks and all the safes at Los Alamos and testing out all the security, and he was one of the few people that had just access to everything on the whole project, and he like helped them keep a lot of it secret and increase their protocols on base to keep those secrets more secure as well. But he was I used to think that he was but then I realized that, when the Manhattan Project went looking for scientists, they went to Princeton into the graduate school to recruit Feynman out of there. And they went to Wheeler, and Wheeler was already working for them and would work for them for a long time. So these guys had a lot of this stuff figured out. If you really read the literature and go back over it with especially with the understanding of how it works with entangled light and trapped light and breaking the Schwinger limit with these nonlinear optics and these types of special crystals, optical crystals like phase conjugate mirrors, quasi-crystals, and metamaterials. And I think all that came from somewhere else. The Nazis had this remarkable idea to make anechoic tiles for that U-480 sub that could make it invisible. But where did they get the inspiration for that? I mean, they called it, they said they got the inspiration from this guardian dwarf who could make himself invisible, but
they had a psychic, Maria Orsic, I believe it was, that she claimed that she had extraterrestrial contact. That they were utilizing to get some of the information. But I think a lot of the information that they actually attained was from India, where the swastika actually originally comes from Hindu culture.
Yeah, and the Thule Society and stuff. And what's really interesting too is that they may have, been able to figure that stuff out just through pure mathematics or intuition. With wave math and understanding of that, or just experiments with, you put the wave math in, you put a bunch of barriers in there, and you say like, oh, what happens to the function, and because there's definitely something to that, but also what about the idea that they could have potentially gotten artifacts or relics, like we have this whole religion of the Muslim religion's based on a black rock that fell from heaven, and that's the cornerstone of the Mecca.
Yeah, man, look at the footprint of the World Trade Center. It was the same thing.
So if they're worshiping stuff from space, so who's to say that we didn't get pieces of stuff that fell from space? And who's to say that, some of this junk that falls from space isn't, remnants of something that, came from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, some chunks of Alderaan or whatnot, who knows what the heck has fallen to Earth over the decades and been confiscated by the Roman Catholic Church or the CIA and the Men in Black or whoever have you. No idea. And anytime someone had something weird like that, it would just go up the chain of command until, I don't know why.
No pitchfork.
But then again, you have pieces of this that are now in the public domain, supposedly through guys like Gary Nolan with this sample, which we're now learning more about the history of that metamaterial, which Metabunk and Mick West and everyone insisted was slag from a smelting process, right? I wasn't so convinced on the slag explanation, just because of what I know about metamaterials and layered, one-dimensional metamaterials are layered stacks of two-dimensional layers, and this looks to me like what's a Bragg reflector or a dielectric mirror is what that metamaterial looks like to me when you have two different materials of alternating refractive index stacked in layers. And one of them is bismuth, which is, this reflector, and the other, our bismuth is magnesium, I think, is the reflector, and bismuth is the is this powerful dielectric because it has a really high spin state. So there's weird stuff going on there with some of the physics, and it definitely resonates with some of the other things I've learned about. And then, you get guys like Josh, who claims to be the UFO Snowden, Josh Bertrand, and the guy who was with me on Simon Holland's channel, and he's done a bunch of interviews on Simon Holland.
I had a thought about that, the metamaterial, about it, the multiple layers of it, is that maybe there's a way that some of the layers within there are some subject to some sort of electrical force.
Is the sound better? Is it more balanced?
Force that would make the parts that are inside,
we won't stay in this all night. I just want to hang out.
Operate differently than the ones that are on the outside. So imagine it like a shell, and you're maybe modifying the interior contents to act like a shield for the ship, kind of thing.
It's definitely like a force field shield. The way I think of it is you get it's these Bragg mirrors, this Bragg reflectors, and it takes a bunch of small impulses that you can generate through, external pumping, and it concentrates all those little tiny impulses into one big punch, and that in a very, very small and focused, confined amount of space, and that all that has to do is exist in a very thin shell on the exterior of the craft, and you have that entangled, quantum. This is how I think that they'll eventually be using this type of technology to build the next generation of quantum computers that can act, because they built quantum computers, but right now they don't really outperform our best supercomputers. Our best supercomputers actually do better. So we're not there yet, according to what the public knows anyway. We might have something somewhere, but I think that this is the next generation, is the aliens technology, whether it came from alien or what. I call it UFO technology because I've talked to people. I heard about metamaterials and quasi-crystals from a guy who said that they were reverse engineering this from aliens out at Area 51. Edgar Fouché, he said this. I mean, it's on the Riddle of the Skies documentary. If you go watch it, this is what he says. And this is what he told me many, many times in conversations, that he talked to a number of these guys that worked on these deeper projects and programs, and that the SR-71 pilots were the guys that would be hired to go and fly these experimental test craft, like the Tic Tacs or whatever they got. So the technology inside these things, it could be aerogel, as this Josh guy suggests. That would make sense with it would explain some of the physics, right? Because you have really low mass on one of these aerogel craft. You get F equals ma, F divided by m. What's the limit is m approaches 0, or it gets really, really small. The force, the acceleration you get out of that small amount of force is just gets super huge when you have a really lightweight craft like an aerogel. So that makes sense in some ways for the maneuverability. And if this thing is actually like an aerogel blimp that's maneuvered by, these force field technologies, whether it's externally applied laser beam tech, which I don't doubt I mean, they were working on that with Project Skyvault and the U.S. Navy lasers at out at White Sands with Rensselaer Polytech Institute there. Dr. Lake Marabou, and he was working on a lot of that stuff. So I think if you combine that technology with the aerogel technology and with maybe some of these specialized surface layer targets, optical targets, whether they're phase conjugate mirrors or just places you can focus your laser beam onto to get maximal propulsion effects on the craft. So you could literally guide these things around with your SDI satellites by shining, small amounts of beam directed energy onto them. And this is in a number of patents.
I watched this
that were
live.
You can look them up if you look up a guy named Kevin Kremeyer, Kremeyer. And look him up on a patent search. You'll find a whole bunch of cool patents on that stuff. But yeah, so there's a number of technologies that can explain some of the stuff that we see out there. And then when you really get into these focused light and trapped light, it's essentially, what people are seeing with these balls, these plasma ball lightning type effects, or it looks like a plasma ball of white light or blue light. Sometimes it's shifted, blue shift or red shift, depending on which way it's moving or how it's moving. It will actually have a blue shift or a red shift in the warp field, which is kind of cool, which is really cool, because if these things are pumping tons of light into a very small amount of space and using that to break the Schwinger limit, it's basically like this. I don't know. I just don't know what that would do to physics, because you're essentially like breaking the communication barrier. So you're putting everything on an event horizon in a black hole. Essentially, it's beyond an event horizon where the information from inside the craft can't travel to the exterior, to the outside universe. So you're like, what happens when you do that?
Yeah, I have a question on that, because it feels like you're like in a video game where you're just turning on cheats, right? It's like you're turning the cheat codes on.
Or like
right?
you put on, I'm Frodo and I just put on the ring.
Exactly. So here's another aspect that I want to ask you about, Jeremy, if this is supported by science, is that, and I didn't believe this at first, but David Grush mentioned that some of these craft, when you get inside of them, that they seem bigger on the inside. And I was asking some smart people I know, and they were saying, no, that's real. And I'm going, wait, really? Like, I thought that was like made up stuff, but like based on what you just mentioned there, it almost seems like it could be real. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Did I lose you?
Yeah. So I
Do you think that's mumbo jumbo, or do you think that's legit?
Say it again, because I was
like
I was distracted.
Oh, you're fine. So, so David Grush has mentioned this idea that the inside of the craft is bigger than what it appears on the outside when you get inside of it. Do you think?
Yeah, all the Harry Potter, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Or like Men in Black. Yeah.
Right.
Do you think that's supported by science, or do you think that's just made up?
Well, this is the idea of quantum non-locality, or spatial dimensions, or how things are measured. So I don't know. I can't see how it could be, because I just don't know of any physics experiment anywhere in the literature where something like this has been done or achieved. It's just like, normally we measure things in terms of structure, so I like to think of space itself as a structure. And so how do you get the structure on the outside to be smaller than what it is on the inside?
So I have a theory on that, specifically on that, is that because of the shell that's created, the shell on the outside would allow for the exterior shell to shrink down to the point of being able to turn into like a string and use the type of teleportation that you were talking about, while the inside contents are actually protected because they have an inside shell that protects it from the distortion that would happen to the outside. So it's like in the Terminator movies, they use a bubble, okay? And then they have to step inside the bubble to go through time. And it's like the same kind of concept where you step inside of a bubble and that bubble is protected, but the bubble itself shrinks. But the contents inside the bubble are not affected, like an internet packet.
Yeah, it just sounds like,
That's what I think it points to.
Felix the Cat's bag, tricks, or a bag of holding from
There's
DoD.
been many things like that. In Harry Potter, they had that bag too, right? The same kind of concept.
Yeah, I think
Right.
the weird part about it is like it seems like it could be possible because of the same reason why we have time dilation, where because space and time are one and the same, and we know time dilation exists, therefore we know that your frame of reference is going to allow time to flow differently. It also seems theoretically possible, I guess, that you could have a different space, kind of like what you just mentioned too, is that if we can teleport something, you almost have to have what Star Captain Dredd just mentioned, is this capability where your local frame of reference inside the bubble is going to be unimpacted, but from the outside perspective, it's going to seem like you've shrunken down or you're not really there anymore. And that's something where it's like, man, that's hard for people to wrap their head around. That's why it's like when I am sitting here disclosing all this stuff, I'm like, I wish this wasn't teleportation, because it's even blowing my mind when I'm talking about this stuff. I'd rather just be cloaking, honestly.
Yeah, like the wormhole stuff kind of blows my mind too. Like, it's like this idea of stargates and stuff, and then you start entertaining that, and then it's like, then you get the people saying, "Oh, they went to Iraq to build, because they were looking for the Stargate technology, and we robbed all the Stargates out of Iraq, and that's the real reason we were there, and it had nothing to do with the oil or the geopolitics or petrodollar warfare or any of that stuff." So, no. I don't know. I just,
if you think about the Stargate from the MH370 perspective, is that maybe they grabbed that Stargate and figured out how to make it work in that amount of time. I mean, it might point to it. And I mean, if there's a technology that's faster than our current delivery systems, and a warp drive would represent that, that might be considered a weapon until it's, under control, so to speak, right? Because
I'd still like to see evidence of it, man. I mean, we know that they've had an invisibility project since '58. We know that they have metamaterials since the Nazis and, Operation Paperclip in World War II. So we know that they've had a lot of time to develop the ability to make things disappear. So I know we have that technology. It's proven,
100%.
demonstratable. I showed it on Danny Jones' podcast when I went on his podcast. I made him bring up videos of it. So that kind of stuff I can believe in, man. But I don't know, the teleportation thing, the bag of holding, it just seems like D&D's Dungeons and Dragons fantasy magic kind of Harry Potter crap.
But
I don't know.
Our technology today is the magic of 100 years ago, right? So, food for thought.
Yeah, that's my view. And the other part too is that, like, I don't like to talk about stuff like, Stargate, even though I used to watch that show when I was younger. And I think it is the same concept, which is weird because I always thought that was just magic mumbo jumbo. But what I usually say with stuff, or I used to think, especially with technology or even aliens and stuff like that, is that I think it's rarely going to be the same as what we see it represented in TV, right? It's going to be a lot more foreign when we look at it. And that's why when I've looked at the MH370 videos and that, I've gone, oh, holy shit, but maybe this is what it really looks like if you're actually seeing it. It's not like a portal opening up and you walk in through the portal. It's something that's, more of just like this instantaneous event where it's there and then you're not there anymore. And I'm not saying that that's what I want people to necessarily believe, but I just want people to think outside the box in terms of, it's all these things are probably not going to be as simple as we imagine. It's probably not going to be exactly like we've been told they look like. It's like we need to kind of see the leaks, and we need to, to Jeremy's point, experiment and do it ourselves, and then video it so we can actually show people, no, this is what it looks like when you do it experimentally.
Yeah, I think if someone can, show I think there were some interesting technologies, at least aboard with that plane with the Freescale semiconductor scientists. And if they looked into that alone, we'd probably find some more answers for why that plane disappeared completely off the face of the planet. And, you know, they searched for it in the waters and didn't find it. And, yeah, it just there's that, and then the espers. I had no idea that, you know, that even existed, and that's a whole infrared satellite based system of recording aircraft from space, dude. Like, what is this? Why was this created? Why do we
You mean
have such a
Sibbers?
thing? Are we and are how many UFO videos do they have on this system that we haven't seen yet? Hello.
Yeah, dude. Like the Sibbers stuff is like, dude, they are seeing UFOs. Give me a break. Like, come on, man. NASA and these people, they're just lying through their teeth about it. They've got to be seeing them like almost on a daily basis or weekly basis, and they're just not mentioning it at all. And they must be compartmentalizing it because I mean, I spoke to AARO unless I was getting scammed by that as well. But like they're just not talking to other government agencies about it because I truly believe that AARO when they tell me that, oh, we haven't seen the anomalous stuff. I believe that they're saying that, but it's because everything's compartmentalized. Like NASA's not the people at NASA that even know it. My guess is if you were to work at NASA, you would never know that NASA is looking at images of UFOs and they're either getting airbrushed out like was it Gary McKinnon?
Yeah, with
You
the
know,
National Airbrushing and Space
they're
Animations
just hiding it,
Administration.
right?
The never a straight answer.
That's my favorite. I was gonna make a meme about international symbol of somebody who doesn't understand science, and just have it be a picture of a NASA shirt.
I just like the one that says Nazi and with the NASA slogan and lettering.
Yeah, because I mean, there's just no
People
way,
forget
man.
we had a Nazi secret space program for 14, you know, from 1945, Operation Paperclip, until 1958 when NASA was created. So, you know, 13, 14 years of a secret space program run by Nazis.
Von Braun had a plan in German to travel to Mars that was improved upon while they were here. So that may have and allegedly has occurred as well. So that's an interesting thought of it too. Is that he did have a full scale like colonization plan for Mars,
Pull
and
up
then it just
Tupa.
wasn't used. Might have been.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna keep posting. Honestly, I should just keep posting that Sibbers video as much as I post like the MH370 videos because that stuff to me is actually just as incredible. I would never have thought we would have all this spy satellite capability. And the part that blew me away the most about it was just how no one has any idea. And it's just right out there in the open. Like Lockheed Martin just has this crap on their website. And we're going, wait, they're scanning the whole world all the time, global persistent infrared surveillance. Like, of course a plane can't go missing. We probably can't even lose a car. Like, that's how crazy the technology is.
They don't want to miss any UFOs either, you know, any foreign aircraft. Think about the defense capabilities. I mean, we have this defense system. It's over 85% of the budget, right? You know, like there's something ridiculous now. So think of all the money that goes into this exact type of thing. So of course this exists. Of course, if they're looking at UFOs and covering it up and not telling us about it, why would they?
Yeah, and here's another element that I'm curious as your guys' thoughts is when I first saw the FLIR, the forward-looking infrared videos that they declassified in 2017, 2018, New York Times writes an article about it. All of a sudden, everybody's like, "Oh, okay." I thought, "Why? That's so weird. We're looking at it in infrared, right?" But now I think about it and I go, I wonder if they developed the infrared capabilities and the advanced radar capabilities they have because of UFOs, because that's the easiest way to see them as opposed to in the visual spectrum. Because otherwise I'd sit here and think, isn't it just better to have, why are we not looking at visual spectrum? And I just think, well, if you're looking for these UFOs, maybe that's the way. And then maybe a lot of people have this idea that UFOs are like, oh, they'd be so advanced that they're invincible. We wouldn't be able to knock them down out of the sky. I almost think, well, think of it more like a surfer on a surfboard, right? Where it's a matter of like, they might be immune to like, and this isn't really perfect analogy, but like maybe there's certain things that we can't hit them with, like kinetic stuff. But what if we just hit them with like wavelength of radar, and all of a sudden that just completely distorts them and knocks their steering wheel out of control, and now they just crash, right? There might be like simple methods to take them down. So I almost wonder if our developmental technology in terms of detectors and visual spectrum, or infrared surveillance has been based on UFOs.
Well, they did say that there was an advanced radar system that they implemented, and that was what had picked up some of the more like the spy balloons and shit like that, right? Because that was an advanced radar system, and they said that once they were using those too, they were picking up more stuff. I think part of the reason that they used infrared rather than visual is because the UFOs have the ability to replicate the natural phenomenon called fata morgana, where it's like the mirage effect. So from my research into this, they're using either lasers or like a plasma around their craft that it's allowing to heat the water to recreate the fata morgana effect like you would see on a hot day on the ground, but technologically speaking, around the whole craft. And by doing that, you're bending the light using the existing water that's in the atmosphere.
Yeah. So one way that they do it is they use carbon nanotubes and high voltage. They run when you run it through the carbon nanotubes, they just heat up super, super hot. And you can get that temperature gradient to bend the light optically off of it. And so that's one way that they've done it. There's another way with active metamaterials too that I've heard about, where they laser pump the metamaterial, and it does kind of like the same thing.
This is incredible.
Yeah, this is a super interesting. Ashton, I invited you to be a co-host in case it kicked me out before, and in case it kicks me out again. I want we
Hold
can
on,
keep
let me
the
switch over because I
going.
can't do it on this. I gotta switch to my other like virtual phone thing. Hold on a sec. I'm gonna rejoin the space. Okay.
Yep, no worries.
We gotta join that BlueStacks, folks. I hope you guys are loving this space. Welcome everybody who's out there. Hey Nathaniel, hey Dorian, hey Jack, hey Sandy, Hermes, Crypto, Bernie, everybody who's been hanging out. Appreciate you guys. Let's see if we can figure this out. There's Mello, alien scientist. Let's join the space. I don't think we crashed that. Let's try one more time. Let's try that one more time. Okay, we definitely crashed that pretty hard. This is such a janky way to have to do this. You can't join as a co-host unless you do that like this, I guess. I can't even get this to work. This thing is so garbage. Hey, Slam Dunk Mo, what's going on, guys? How are you guys doing tonight? Hope you're doing well. I took a nap earlier, but I've got more stuff to post out as well. As you saw what I was showing on Twitter, there's more details. What is this, man? Okay, here we go. Okay, there we go.
On unmanned aerial vehicles and drone technology. Institute for Advanced Studies, and goes on to research, anti-gravity in this team. Very interesting other connection there, but another interesting thing is with those free-scale semiconductor scientists and the people that I pointed out. There was a couple individuals on board Flight 77 on 9/11 that crashed into the Pentagon who were involved in some of these radar physics operations, a radar physics group, and this, anti-hijacking technology that was on commercial airlines. And it was part of the onboard GPS and autopilot system, where you could have this uninterruptible autopilot function, which could be turned on remotely. and that would basically turn on autopilot. You could upload autopilot signals to the processor and control in the airplane, and then fly the airplane through these remote augmented GPS waypoints that could be programmed into and it would be uninterruptible. Which means, you know, you could essentially
still be able to join.
You didn't need hijackers on 9/11. You could have just, you know, flown one of these doomsday planes around and operated and taken control of those planes remotely. So, you know, that we don't know what happened on 9/11 because we didn't have a real investigation. We had a cover up, as a number of researchers who have pointed out, including John Gold, who made the documentary Press for Truth about the victims' family members who pushed for an investigation. And when they started asking questions, you know, first they were parading around like heroes, took photo ops with Hillary Clinton and all this stuff. But once these wives started asking questions about, you know, what really happened and who was involved and started getting into that, they blacklisted them. They wouldn't let them on the media. Ann Coulter, the Fox News pundit there, she got on and publicly shamed them and defamed them, the victims, saying that they were, you know, left-wing Democrats that were trying to, you know, tarnish Bush's reputation and start trouble. And they made it into this political party issue, and you know, it was really disgusting what, you know, Tucker Carlson and others did. And I'm happy now that Tucker is finally coming around and saying, you know, hey, maybe I was wrong about some of this stuff, and we're going to try to talk about it and open up to some of this stuff now. And I hope he follows through on that, because there's a lot of research that I found digging into 9/11 that I never would have believed years ago. But it will just shock you and blow your mind if you look into the, you know, who ran security at the World Trade Centers, the whole Building 7 connection, the financial connections that we were talking about with Ben, who's still on here as a speaker earlier in the space. So there's a number of these things which deal with really high level people. These scientists that were aboard that plane in MH370 were involved with some really interesting technologies, as I pointed out, with the patents. And I don't know if those are still available, if they've been, you know, I think there's more. There's more that those guys worked on that we don't know about yet. And one of them was this radar technology, which could basically disrupt radar and cloak things from radar, so they could disappear a plane with radar frequency. So they combine something like that with, you know, a visit, because what's on there in that video is, sorry, kicking me off, but yeah, on that video it shows the plane actually physically disappearing and the smoke and trail disappearing as well. So it's certainly curious if it's it draws these questions. So I think that it's done more. It will do more if you get in front of the right people to dig into this ESPERS, the satellite-based infrared systems, and that whole free-scale semiconductor connection with those scientists that were on board and the technologies that they were involved in, including it was like smart dust and other weird tech. Some of the scientists were just involved in other weird stuff, as I recall. One of them was like invented this smart dust, which is contact tracing technology through RFID tags. So it had been very useful pre-pandemic, you know, to have patents on contact tracing technology that would have gone into high demand in 2020 if you knew something like that was coming.
Yeah, real quick on some of that stuff, because I was looking at Captain Dan Hanley's report, where he talks about the remote control stuff, as well as I was actually in a space with Field McConnell recently as well. And I mean, I'm convinced on page one that like we can definitely remote control an aircraft. And after 9/11, they were supposedly installed on like every Boeing aircraft where they can remote control them. So, I mean, it seems just like completely rational that you would do that as well, especially after 9/11, when it's like you want to prevent people from being able to take over an aircraft. It seems like the logical thing that you would do. And then with respect to those engineers on board, like to me, those are 100%. Whatever happened to that plane, it's related to those 20 engineers on board on that plane because they were into all this advanced stuff. We find this NSA security report that I think I talked about when I was on your show, Jeremy. I'm pretty sure I even talked about it with. I see Tony Merkel in the chat. Hey Tony, everybody, if you don't follow the confessionals, you definitely should. Tony Merkel's an awesome guy. I think we talked about it even there, where it's like, or maybe we found out right after, but there's a 2005 NSA report. It's like, oh, these guys are building room temperature superconductive microchips that are used in quantum computers, right? It's like, this is really advanced stuff. This is national defense stuff.
Yeah, those scientists were definitely top of their field at one of the top companies, and whatever they were working on was.
Maybe it's just me echoing.
It's just so curious because we found a lot of these trends, man. It's like, yeah, that's why I'm trying to warn these young kids that are getting into these programs that maybe seem like this enthralling thing to be a spy and be part of this big secret operation and this technology and stuff, but they kill motherfuckers, dude. They're ruthless, these people. And the Freescale semiconductor scientists are not the first by a long shot. There's the whole Marconi scientist death conspiracy, where over 20 scientists who worked for Marconi went missing between 1980 and 1993 or 4, right? So there's other reports of a number of scientists and doctors, just like if you look up look up like all the doctors that have been killed or silenced or whatnot. There's tons of medical doctors and stuff too. So it's a really
found cures for cancer that
yeah.
We're talking about cures for cancer, or and a lot of holistic medicine practitioners in the last like 10 years, probably like good couple hundred that have actually.
Yeah, and now it's all run by this insurance agencies under the Obamacare Act, and it's literally the insurance companies basically like poisoning everybody. And if you're one of the doctors that has these alternative medicine, anything that's outside their strict like approved guideline of like insurance medications and stuff and insurance, what the insurance will cover, they won't do it, and you'll lose your license and you won't it's like a big fuck scam.
Real quick, Jeremy, I guess you got a pretty bad echo. I got people messaging me and I can hear it as well. I'm not sure if there's anything you can adjust on your side to make it better. It's like you're kind of like robotic-y, static-y or something like that.
Yeah, you too, man. You've gotten real robotic-y and static-y. You got it too now, man. I think
they're onto us.
They've nuked our space, dude. We're talking about too much stuff.
Yeah, they don't want us talking about this stuff.
And the next thing we should talk about is, the random event that might happen in the future where MH370 just fucking shows up again out of the blue.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been 10 years. Otherwise, I would. If it was like 2017 or 16,
they did a time jump, bro.
Yeah, it's like what is it? Manifest or something? Still haven't watched that show.
What was that missing ship that was like some destroyer that went missing somewhere and that like supposedly appeared? Yeah.
Philadelphia experiment or?
No, I know with the USS Eldridge, but there was like another one, and it was in some TV show where or something that they did like a shout out to this one thing that disappeared and they never saw it again. And I don't know, they maybe found it since, but.
Do you know the lore of the USS Gerald Ford? There was a USS Black Sea, and so the Russians had a plane with no armament except a little pod underneath it, some type of electronic warfare. It shut down the entire ship, and they had to tow it all the way back to all the way across the Pacific back to California for repairs. So whatever that was, we don't have any shielding to it. So that's why there's a stalemate in Ukraine right now. technology.
Hey Jeremy, it's something where when your mic is open at the same time as someone else's mic and you speak, it's echo. So I think the fix is if you're speaking, everyone else's mic has to be closed.
I'm gonna try and log off here for a second, and I'll log back on. Give me like a minute. I'm gonna restart my phone.
Yeah, it should be fine. I got co-host, so it shouldn't crash the space.
Absolutely loving the conversation, and so I wanted to just come up and try to help fix it so that we could keep going.
Yeah, I had a few people message me saying it was getting annoying, but hopefully we'll get that fixed in general. Yeah, and then I think too, I posted in the chat as well. There was this redacted video today where they're talking about Lockheed Martin and some pretty incredible claims, both about Lockheed Martin's breakaway civilization level technology, but also that like Lockheed Martin got in a firefight with U.S. like troops or like JSOC, I guess, and a couple JSOC people supposedly were killed. So it's pretty wild, man. It makes me wonder what could really be hidden from us in general. Definitely recommend checking that out. And you can go to, I think it's Redacted's Inc.
You posted in the Nest?
Yeah, I think, is this thing on the top of the Nest? Yeah. Yeah, I made a clip of it. I edited it. I'm getting better at editing like clips together because I'm trying to make it, less than like a couple minutes when possible. But the part that I clipped, I didn't clip the part about like them talking about killing the people. I just clipped the part about like how the technology could change and help so many people in the world and change their circumstances, and how like the government, like, this could lead to people marching on the government, which would explain why people are like they don't want to reveal it, right? It's just such a huge huge thing to reveal. Like, can you imagine these people are like, normal people, like people on this stream, on this space right now, struggling to pay their bills, struggling to pay for heat. It's freezing outside, at least where I am, struggling to have housing. And then you've got people out there like portaling around, curing themselves, extending their age. It's just like, it's two different worlds, man. It's two different worlds.
I just saw your tweet earlier, Ashton, and I said to myself, like, I just got done. I accidentally ran out of oil. I live in New York, and it's like freezing here, and so I had to put some diesel in until the oil company could come a couple days later, which was fine. And then it was, whatever, $1,700 to put a couple hundred gallons in the tank. And so when I saw that tweet and I listened to that guy talking about how the whistleblowers are coming out saying like if there is technology that I believe it already exists, like not free, nothing's free, but energy that is like 1/1000th of the cost, and that would be shameful, if we've had that for a while and they've been keeping it. Like I get scarcity. Okay, like you have the Apple phone 20 already and you trickle it out, but like to do that with people's lives is criminal, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's the real question too. I guess from the economic standpoint, is like I wonder what fusion energy would cost. I mean, it definitely would bring the prices down. And it tells us that like oil and gas and all this stuff is going to definitely be obsolete. And there's almost certainly an inflection point too, where one thing that I've always told, I love economics in general, so something I've always told my family is that the reason why I don't worry about stuff like, and people, this is going to be controversial, but even like climate change and stuff like that, is humanity will always figure out a way to adapt when things get really critical. And I think the same thing is true for rising gas prices. Like, I actually used to think that $5 a gallon of gas was going to be the inflection point where people would like freak out. Okay, well, that space just ended. Well, there we go. We lost the space. I was co-host, but we still lost it. Wow, that feels bad. Well, I'll finish my thought. I thought that $5 a gallon gas was going to be the inflection point there, but then I paid like $6 a gallon when I was living in California for a while, even like a year ago or whatever. And now I wonder if it's not something much higher, like $10 a gallon in general. And then at some point, this technology will get out and things will change. But boy, that sucks, huh? Space crashed. I thought that it wasn't supposed to happen because I was in it as a co-host. Let's see. Yeah, it definitely crashed. Right? It's not me, right? It just crashed. Yeah, I think it just crashed. Damn, feels bad. Okay, well, we tried. Well, oh well. It was middle of our conversation. It crashes like that. But yeah, you know, I think what's going to happen is when we get to a point where it becomes problematic, where there's enough people starving, like they're not going to let there be a revolution, a violent uprising, right? So instead, they will, you know, they'll leak the technology out as it benefits the elites. That's probably what'll happen. I think it was because Jeremy crashed and then it took too long for him to come back. Maybe he had a bad connection. The space has been transported above light speed to Diego Garcia. Ellie's got it, guys. That's probably what happened. Okay, so probably going to shut down pretty soon here. It's been double streamed today, but we had some pretty big stuff happen, and I do want to post some updates. Maybe I'll just do it in the morning. So, first of all, Lockheed Martin definitely has quantum computers, guys. They definitely have quantum computers. When did they set this up? 2011. Yeah. This is what they set up publicly, right? Yeah, I'm kind of surprised Redacted hasn't reached out. What I will say, guys, is I'm not going to mention much more about this or go into more detail. It's not something to freak out about or to get too excited about. But there is a TV station that reached out to me, so we'll see. They're trying to do a piece on MH370. And I'll tell you guys what I told them is I told them that I hope they at least consider the fire scenario. I don't care if people want to not talk about teleportation and orbs or whatever, but they should at least give the fire scenario some credit. The fire scenario is like definitely what happened to this plane. There's every witness corroborates it. There's 500 pounds of dangerous lithium-ion batteries on this plane. It needs to be at least mentioned. As for Tim Pool doing dirty, I don't even care, man. I don't even care. It's more exposure, and more exposure is going to bring people to the evidence. The same reason why I don't even care when the haters talk smack or whatever. Because the more smack that gets talked, like, the more people are going to come and check the stuff out. And then they're going to be like, oh, wait, this guy's not full of crap, right? He's just presenting the evidence. I'm not going to go into more details. It's not because I said it's nothing to get excited about. It's not like anyone big like you're imagining, but it is technically a TV station. Yeah, we got bopped out of X. Let's see what happened with that. Jeremy probably made a post. Let's take a look. And like I was saying before, guys, like we reached a point now. Yeah, I think he just crashed, man. We've reached a point now where we've hit this inflection point where, like, no matter what, when people talk about MH370, they're going to be coming to us, right? They're going to be pinging me about it because there's just so much engagement on social media about it. The same way where, like, people talk about, like, Field McConnell, right? Where they talk about Field McConnell and the remote control stuff. And I wanted to mention the remote control stuff. Like, there's definitely an angle where remote control was used on the plane. Definitely an angle. I mean, it's hard to fit in there because we just have so little hard evidence related to what happened with the plane, right? And we don't know what we can trust. Like, if somebody's lying to you, how do you know when they're telling you the truth kind of situation? Haven't quite got through this whole thing, this Camelot, but basically it's about their plane being remote controlled to Diego Garcia. So I don't think you guys, the stream is still up, right? Yeah, no, the stream's up, but the X space got crashed. Yeah. Oh, well, you got to see my DMs. Well, let's see what they're saying now that we got it up. They don't like nukes. Okay, anyway. It's no big deal. I don't really care. People know. It was funny. Somebody in the other space that we were doing the other night was like, I'm gonna take this off now. They were going, they were saying, oh, who was that? They asked if Keemstar and I was a psyop. I'm like, dude, I'm in a chat with him. Like we follow each other. He probably just noticed I was in a space and joined. It's not that wild. I don't like to say that we have sides, but what I do like to say is that, I'll try not to dox myself again. That's why I'm not going to show my DMs with the news thing, because I keep posting personal information. I don't want it to pop up. I think that the way to phrase it is that we're aligning ourselves with certain people, right? We're allying with certain people. It's not that everybody's on our side. Even Jeremy's like, he thinks it makes more sense for it to be cloaking, and that's totally fine, man. I don't care. Honestly, at this point, I'd just be happy if they just talk about the fire scenario. I'd just be happy if they talk about the fire scenario at this point, man. Like, I've already realized that, like, the whole teleportation angle is just way over most people's heads, right? Now, from you guys' perspective, I think you have no problem. But I think that for just people, the normies out there, it's way too much, man. It's way too much. And Ghost, you're right, man. There are sides. 100% there are sides. Like, you can tell that one thing I said once upon a time, I had this job in the past, not my current job. And it was one of those jobs where nobody quits, where, like, you have the same people that work there for, like, 40 years. And, like, you have a ton of people that work there for over 20 years. And what happens is you get this encrusted situation where they develop these policies and everybody gets very cliquey and there's certain like circles. It's a lot like high school, right? And if somebody comes in and tries to break that paradigm to say, hey, why do we do it this way when we could do it this other way? They almost become like a threat, right? They become a threat to that establishment. It's like when the new kid comes and joins the high school, it's like, oh, which clique is he going to be a part of, right? I think that's a little bit analogous to what we've had go on with the UFO community from the MH370x perspective. And we've kind of found our way in there where we've broken that mold a little bit, where certain people have unblocked us and decided, hey, this guy's not going away. But the reality is that there are a lot of people that this threatens their worldview. Just like I posted in the message to the skeptics today. On both sides, this information just threatens their worldview, and we have to keep that in mind, right? To a lot of people, there's no difference between the idea of something teleported and the idea of, Alex Jones talking about Sandy Hook was a lie. Like, that's in some people's minds, these are equivalent concepts, which blows me away, because I'm going, dude, you're talking about a bunch of children who were murdered versus science, quantum mechanics. These are not things that you can equate to one another. One's based on reality, right? Like actual scientific concepts. And the others are literal conspiracy theories. And I think people should be allowed to have whatever conspiracy theories that they want that are out there, right? Like, ideas aren't hurting people, Ideas don't hurt people. In fact, I'd argue we need to push the boundaries of ideas in order to get to the truth, no matter what that might be, right? So I personally, with you guys, I don't believe that Sandy Hook, for example, was some kind of cover-up conspiracy. I think those children were murdered, and it's one of the most horrific things ever. I think that children getting harmed is I can't tell you how much it upsets me. It gets me actually angry. But at the same time, like, that doesn't hurt me. Like, I don't feel like I need to attack Alex Jones over it. Right? Like, it's just an idea. It's not based in reality. It's like the same thing where it's like, if people lie, it doesn't make me angry, right? Because I know that it's like not reality. If someone tells me the sky is green, I don't care, right? Like, I know it's blue. It's whatever, right? And I know it's probably not really blue. It's black up there in space. But, so, I hope that people can at least do that as well, with the idea that maybe we can teleport an object. Like, yeah, it seems extraordinary, but yeah, that's what non-locality is. Spooky action at a distance, right? Yeah, thank you, Slam Dunk Mo. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, the interview with Tim Pool was actually on last Friday. But yeah, I think that it's been getting more and more out there. if you go to Tim Pool's YouTube, and I double checked as well, I still haven't got copyright striked by just to get people up to speed who are not maybe here earlier. My intentional play was to see if I would get copyright striked by the what is it, Real Creepy Stories, because I literally played their whole videos on my stream without pausing or anything. Man, I need a better way to find this channel. I'm not going to subscribe to it though. If you're out there, Real Creepy Stories, I'm not subscribing to you because I don't know if this is some kind of gimmick or what. But they weirdly posted this paste bin today, and it was posted today by an anonymous account, and they're saying that everything's copyrighted. Well, I played their video nonstop because I wanted to see. What. Let's check. There's a Twitter account with this. I wanted to see if they would strike me on it, and they didn't. Which tells me they're not trying to do this for money. Because if they were trying to do it for money, they definitely should have copyright striked it. It does look very troll. You know why I enjoy this though, guys? You know why I enjoy these videos? It's because there's a real possibility, even though it's a small one, but there's a real possibility that this is like a government psyop, like that the intelligence community or even a foreign intelligence community is doing this, right? It's just so elaborate. It's so elaborate, man. Like, I just enjoy it at this point. Like, if I'm doing something that's drawing this much attention, that's making someone spend this much time, you know how much time it would take to make these videos? I can't even make videos this long. Like, look at how much time, like, just to be honest with you guys, like, I spend, like, almost all my free time working on stuff like this, streaming with you guys, even editing those clips, even just editing the clip that I made for the redacted thing, that took almost an hour just to edit that clip. Whoa. How much is that? Whoa, hey, thank you, GT. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Thank you. I don't know, because I think this is red, so I think this is a lot of money. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I haven't had to say this in a long time, but I do appreciate the donations that help out the cause. I don't want people to feel like they have to donate, especially because, like, I know that we live in a world where it's the haves and the have-nots, and I want people to keep their money, but thank you for that. It does mean a lot, so I appreciate it. And I like that there hasn't been as many people donating recently, just because, like, it makes me realize that, like, you know, you guys don't need to donate to get attention from me. I'm happy to answer questions in the chat regardless, but yeah, I don't know who GT is. I don't think we've seen GT, but this doesn't seem like it's your first donation. Otherwise, I think it normally says. But thank you very much, GTA. I greatly appreciate it. I don't know how much, when you convert that to schmeckles, I'm not sure, but I think this is a lot, because usually when they're red like this, I think that means that there was a big donation. So thank you. Appreciate it. That's not $3,000, guys. That's, oh, $54? Nice. That's huge, man. Thank you very much. Wow. Appreciate that, man. But yeah, that's why I enjoy this, man. Like, this is wild. I'm definitely going to follow any other videos they post on this account. I'm very curious as to what they'll do next, and if they will send us, like, another subtle message. Like, I don't know if all they wanted us to do was to focus on $53 is a lot, man. That's huge. Thank you. That's big. Maybe they just wanted us to refocus on MH370, right? I don't know. It does kind of feel like that was the goal. Really doesn't feel like a situation where they were trying to get us to stop. People watch the other videos with, like, the tunnels, but it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with it. Or maybe they were just riding the wave, right? The thing about riding the wave that seems odd, like, it's just a random new channel, and they target me right away. Seems really odd. I don't know. And then they've talked to us in 2 other videos as well. Really odd. I'd like to have a martini in their honor, but I'm not going to do it right now. Hey, Diamond, what's up, buddy? Diamond's probably happy, too. I'm not talking about Miami aliens. I thought about Diamond when I was talking about Miami aliens. I'm like, oh, Diamond's gonna be upset that I'm reporting on the Miami aliens nonsense out there. And not to offend anybody, maybe there is something out there related to it, but I think we've decided that a lot of those people were just making up stories as part of like a little viral sensation thing that was going on. Yeah, any money is a amount of money nowadays. And one other thing that I want to say as well, while we're just being meta right now, is that I am a little bit worried about if I were not just if I were to lose my job, but if there's like a lot of aspects. Like I don't think I'm going to lose my job as long as I keep focusing on what I'm doing, job related. I should be fine. There's people that definitely skirt the line a lot more than me, but losing my security clearance, you have to renew it every few years. I think that like top secret ones you have to renew every 3 years as well, which pretty sure it's coming up pretty quick. I don't think they'll not let me renew it just because I'm not technically not doing anything I shouldn't be able to do. But yeah, man, if so, it's like if you like if you lose your job and you've got all this stuff, like if you just Google my name, let's close this. Oh, I was going to actually check at Real World Creepy. Oh, whoa. Whoa. What? When did this account get made? Oh, how come nobody told me they have a YouTube account or a Twitter account? What? What day is it? Okay, is there a way to tell what day they created their account? Whoa. Oh, guys, are we sending them a DM? Who are they following? Looks like they're following a bunch of people that follow me. Almost everybody follows me. I don't know. Maybe this is just some meta gimmick. Whoa. They're following fake Elon Musk? Is this who's doing it? Is this the guy who's doing it? They had me come into a space with them the other day. Huh. The thing I can't figure out is even if it's a random person making this up, even if it's fake Elon Musk, this is fake Elon Musk right here. Even if it's them, like how are they coming up with all this? They must be following it a lot, right? Yeah, one strategy could be to stop talking about them. The thing is, they're not making any money off of it, man. 500 followers is not enough people to make money. Even 5,000 views isn't. They're probably not even monetized yet. That's it? That's their only post? They just made this account? Yeah, so maybe this is just some meta thing they're doing, right? Very weird, man. They found an old tweet from 2022, and they started replying 2 days ago. This is still bizarre, man. This is still real weird, right? This is definitely not about money. Could just be some really smart viral marketing campaign. They came up with some pretty original ideas here. So they spent all day, January 12th, that was 2 days ago, just replying to glitter conspiracy people. This almost feels like they're trying to get information out, right? Otherwise, why are you replying all this? Just for attention? Hoping somebody notices you? This account no longer exists? I don't know what to do. This is very bizarre, man. The story to me was extremely specific.
That we could facilitate.
Also, heads up, somebody noticed there's a message in here, guys. I should post that as well. Yeah, we're going to find out their intentions soon enough. This isn't something where we have to get to the bottom of it, right? Like, we'll find out their intentions soon enough. Huh. Very weird. This is so meta is the part that I can't get past. It's too meta, man. Too meta for me. Let's see what I got for you guys. I got some spice for you. I got some spice. Where is it? Images. Here you guys go. You ready for this? Check this out. Hello, my name is Emil. I am motion graphics designer and 3D, I think it says artist, and 3D artist. Look at this. You guys like this? This is the weird part. This isn't motion graphics or 3D art. I saw this and I went, wait, but this is AI. This has nothing to do with motion graphics designer. If this said like, I am AI and voice expert writer or something, right? I'd be like, oh, okay. This is a message. They're just saying what they are. This is weird, right? Who's Emil? Yeah, I've heard that people have gotten unsubscribed to me. I have not unsubscribed anybody unless they've been blocked. I don't force people off following me unless they're trolling me. Weird, right? I wonder at what point this was. 47 seconds in. Should we go look at it real quick? I forgot what we're going to do. I keep getting sidetracked because I got sidetracked with this creepy Dan thing. Huh. I think it's a watermark. Yeah, he didn't add any music, though. There's nothing for him to be plugging. That's the thing that makes sense. There's no 3D art or anything related to it going on. Real world. I think it was real world creepy, right? There it is. Okay. Now we know how to find it. I'm still not subscribing to you, Dan, if you're out there. Oh, man, they added this weird thing, too. This is so weird that they added this because my whole play was to play their video on my YouTube without and try to get copyright striked by them to prove that they're doing it for like some money, but they didn't. And then they added this anyway. I'm going to keep playing their videos and violating their copyright. I want to make them force them into do something. I know you're watching, Dan. So that's my play. I'm telling you straight up. Let's see. 47 seconds in. Wait. Oh, this is where they're putting it in. Man, so that's literally like what, one frame? Man, we really have to be going frame by frame looking for this stuff. How did he find this? He He went frame by frame through it. Wow, that's buried down in there, folks. Huh. Okay. Well, we're in the middle of a weird meta thing going on out there. Hi, Dan. Impressive. No, I think we should reverse the game onto Dan. Hello, Dan. This is a message from Ashton Forbes. He is the one that has sent you a message about why you're sending him creepy messages. Hello, Dan. Impressive. Oh, man. It's pretty wild. Yeah, maybe should I talk like this? Should we talk with a serious voice? This is my speaking voice. Click the gear and slow the speed down. Oh, man, we already went past it now. Oh, wait, there's also just like a link right here. Okay. Let's slow the speed down. Speed. Oh, I think I saw it. There? No. Oh, I think it was right there. Wow, that's hidden, man. Oh, there it is. I saw it for a second. Wow, it was one frame right over here. They hit a random message. Huh. Well, that's creepy. That's creepy, folks. Yeah, we've got people in. I mean, this is why, like, you know, when we had a RAR file thing, people cracked the password because we got a lot of power here. I mean, people are going frame by frame through these videos. People are going through these frame by frame through these videos, man. Imagine, like, at this point, people don't still think that I made these, right? I should, yeah. Should we get super meta with it? Should we make our own AI script video? I don't even know how. How to make AI video. AI voice. What was the voice thing that people said you could do? Oh, 11 Labs. This is the one they were talking about. So what select the voice of Daniel? I might do this. I might actually do this. I love getting super meta with it. What if I make a voice thing? So this is what they did. They recorded an audio, and then they used a voice. They must have done... It was definitely a speech-to-speech situation, right? Automatic voice conversion. So it was their accent. That's what happened. So, yes, 100% this is what they did, guys. I think we're figuring this out right now. Yes, this is why it said deflectors. Their accent confused the thing, and they had it changed to deflector instead of defector. So whatever their accent is, that's the tell. They're probably not from the United States. Their accent, so when I lived in Singapore, like, you would actually have to tune, even though they spoke English, you'd have to tune, like, your mind because people's accents would be so thick that you couldn't necessarily figure it out. This is definitely what they did. They did a voice input, and then they had it convert to speech. That's what they're doing. They're using an AI voice changer. But so even then you have to build the script, though, which still is not easy. The question is, which accents have defector and deflector? It is very similar. Defector and deflector are very, very similar. Yeah, it's fun. It's just fun. Nobody has produced a very good MH370 video. There's two out there. One of them, I think they've got pinned on one here. Yeah. So this is the better one, but they just cheated. They just cheated in this one. Like, they didn't actually do any of the work. Like, this one's so deceptive. This is like, these people are just idiots, man. Reddit's so freaking stupid. These videos are not fake. These guys couldn't recreate this. This guy spent several days, and he basically just cheated. And he basically just copied all of the parameters from the existing one, right? And so he like copied all the coordinate stuff, copied the mouse movement, and like, okay, well, copying it, of course, is going to be easier if you just literally copy the hardest parts. If you don't make your own shifting program, he literally just copies the coordinates. Okay, well, try to make your own coordinate shifting program that's accurate to 6 decimal places. That alone is going to take forever, right? And I think the top one is the fake one. Yeah, top one. And you can tell that because the model of the plane doesn't match. The model of the plane is not accurate. The hardest part about this is getting the engineering aspects right. And that's the only part that they would have actually had to originally come up with here, and they didn't even get it right. Everything else is exactly just copied. They copied the images from these cloud images, which were already lifted from the videos. They didn't recreate any of this stuff. They copy the mouse movement, so they don't recreate any of that. They copy the coordinates instead of creating their own coordinate program. So they literally didn't do any of the actual work that would have been required. This is like all they did here was they took a video of an airplane and they added smoke trails, which don't even match. And they said, oh, this is a match. Like, you can tell this plane is not turning at the right angle compared to this one here, right? It's not even the same. So they couldn't even get the easiest part lined up on this, right? And then, of course, when you look at the orbs aren't even close on this one. You can tell right away that the top one's the fake one, right? First orb comes from the side, weirdly, comes from the wrong spot, so they didn't even get that to match. The second orb, they have the second orb coming from over here. So if I look at this for 5 seconds, I can already tell which one the fake one is, right? That's how bad it is. The orbs don't even come close to looking like these orbs, and they don't follow the 120-degree sinusoidal pattern, right? Right away, you can tell with the orb movements, it doesn't look right. So this is their best one. Took them several days. Like, the way the orb comes in here is super fake as well. The way it comes in out of the side here, like, that's not even how the orb comes in the video. So if the Redditors are watching, like, this is your best attempt, this is just embarrassing. I don't mean to shit on this guy, but, like, this is an actual joke. It doesn't even match from the model. The orbs coming in don't even match. They didn't even get the sinusoidal pattern correct on there. So it's, yeah. And then the only aspects that make it look real are because they literally just copied the exact aspects from the real video. And then the portal is just an embarrassingly bad. Oh, this actually isn't the super bad one, no. So this one's not that bad, but yeah. And I'm not sure, because the accurate flash here, they cheated, I think, on this one. I don't think that they actually overlaid the effect here. Let's just compare side by side and see. I don't think they actually put in the Pyromania VFX here. Let's just check. How do I get this to pause correctly? God dang it. Can I go back 1 frame or something? But this is the better one of the two. The thermal one, no one's even come remotely close. Not even at all. And again, you can tell the plane, like, the hardest part is getting the plane model correct. Like, you can tell the angle's different here, right? Because this is a real plane. And this is one where somebody has no idea how planes actually operate. Just for the record for everybody, Joe Lancaster didn't make these videos. He's just an idiot. He's just a scammer, guys. He's just a scammer. It's not more deep than that. Literally, if somebody just tells you, oh, this is how I made them, like, that's the same thing that psychics do when they tell you they're talking to your dead loved ones, because they're literally just using the information they know and coming up with a story. Because we've been talking about this for like 5 months, and debunkers are trying to say how it is, so he's just literally lifting what the debunker's saying, going, this is how I created them, right? It's not more complicated than that. He's already been outed because people looked through his Reddit profile and they realized he didn't make them. Because he's been sitting there talking about, I knew this was fake the first minute I saw it. That's not a comment you make if you made the videos, guys. It's, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so they definitely just copied it exactly, right? They didn't use the Pyromania VFX here. They literally just copied the actual thing here. So these people just completely cheated. And like the debunkers do, they misrepresent what they're doing here. This was not somebody creating even an original work. They literally just copied the real one, which, you know, fine. That's what we say, is that people can copy the Mona Lisa as well, right? But he would never have been able to create this from scratch. No chance. 0%. So, yes, there's your answer. Has somebody tried to recreate it? Yeah, but they just cheated, right? They didn't do any of the actual work. So that's why you don't give any credit to anything like that. Same with the and the drone one they removed, right? The drone one, no, recreate it does not mean to copy it. No. you have to realize there's nothing for the original people to copy, guys. So let me break it down for you here for the Redditors in the chat who don't have any intelligence, and we have to help them out a little bit. So to recreate this would be to recreate this video without looking at it, guys. That's the difference between what they did, right? Recreate this video without even looking at it. So you have to originally come up with all the aspects of it without watching this video, right? Now, do this one as well. Don't look at it at all. Don't even know where the files came from. And if you can do that without looking at it, and you can recreate it without any of that, without looking at this, without looking at the coordinates, without looking at the numbers, without looking at the mouse, then sure, you figured out how they did it. If you're just looking at it side by side, realize that the person who created this doesn't have that luxury. This is the same stupid stuff that I talk about with the VFX thing. We're not looking at a Pyromania VFX in here. That's not an opinion. This is a fact. I don't know why I have to argue this. If somebody was including this visual effect you see in the middle here, they're not going to modify it. They're not going to modify it, guys, just like Starship Troopers didn't modify it. Do you get it? It's not really complicated. So for Cryschly TV, why would you recreate something without looking at it? Because the original person doesn't have the benefit of doing that. Is it clear, or are you still confused? I can dumb it down a little bit more for you. Here, let me dumb it down to a 5th grade level for the Redditors, guys. Here we go, guys. Let's dumb it down for you guys. The person who made it originally doesn't have anything to copy. Has that sunk in? Have we all absorbed the information? There's nothing for the original person to copy. So if you change all of this to make it look like the other one, you're doing something that the original person couldn't have done. They didn't have anything to compare it to. Is that still too deep for people out there? I see comments or replies where the Redditors go, well, he didn't make any sense when he said that. Why? What does that mean? Why is he making this argument? This argument doesn't count. It does. That's the reality of the situation. Is that if somebody made this, everything you see here is original. It's not that they were looking at something side by side. It's not like they were going, oh, I've got this other one I'm going to look at side by side. They didn't have that. That's not possible. That's how time works. That's how original works work. It's like saying that the Mona Lisa was copied by somebody. Well, they copied it from what? There's nothing to copy. They literally had to make it. It's an original version, right? Like, my God. Has that been clear now, or do we gotta go through it again? That's why, like I say, it's really not simple to understand, but this is like saying that somebody took the Pyromania VFX and randomly changed it until it magically matched the thing you see in the background here. Why would they do that? They wouldn't, like Starship Troopers didn't. They literally just put it in there. Starship Troopers just put the full VFX in there because that's how VFX actually works in the real world. It's just so silly. Do I have the Starship Troopers one? Okay, I think we're good, right? If anyone wants to argue with me about it, I'm happy to argue with me, but you guys have to address the things I'm saying instead of just saying, no, that doesn't make sense. Well, it does. It does make sense, man. Here's another little thing. George Knapp apparently hasn't even looked at the videos. Here you go. I haven't had any martinis yet, guys. Yeah, I'm just going to go about my daily life, but I wanted to address it since we're on here. I mean, and people say like I don't address questions. I've addressed the pyromania thing so many times. Like all you have to say is how many pixels match. How many pixels match? That's all you have to say. They literally can't answer the question how many pixels match because it doesn't match. That's all you have to say. And then when you say it, they freak out and they go, well, you're not allowed to say that. It's like, yes, the pixels don't match, guys. It's not that deep, man. It's not that deep. This VFX we see here is not in our videos. That's an objective fact. Until the debunkers can accept that reality, like there's no moving forward. We're not living on the same planet, right? You're living in a fake planet where what you see here in the foreground and what you see in the background is the same thing. That's just untrue. That's just a false statement, right? Doesn't matter if your favorite YouTuber says it. It doesn't matter if Mick West tells you it. It does not make it real. You can clearly see they're not the same thing. They did a good job finding something that's similar, but it's not the same. Close only counts on horseshoes and hand grenades. So I think we're good with that, right? Just to add some more information as well, nobody has copyright striked me despite the fact I've posted these videos on my YouTube account, and nobody's copyright striked me. Nobody's claimed the copyright of these videos. And the reason for that is because they're not made by anybody. I'm literally profiting off of somebody else's work if these are produced. Nobody's been copyright striking them, right? So, hello, debunkers. Just wake up to logic, man. Okay, let me address, because then people are going to say I'm not answering the question. So, you said it wasn't a good recreation because it was copied from the original. I'm asking what makes the recreation invalid. Well, that's if you can recreate the Mona Lisa. Does that mean the Mona Lisa isn't real? No, it doesn't, right? People do. People do. Okay, so I think we've addressed all that. Now, George Knapp right here, you can see, has not seen it. I think that, what was the other thing? Man, these people are obsessed with me. I don't really like giving them any attention. I don't know. We're not going to go any more into this. Screw it. Oh, look, yeah, so what is this? Why are these people... Man, I'm living rent-free in some people's heads here. What is this? INS Boz. Was this where I got the wrong... I'm not even going to bother. We're not even going to bother. I have not been drinking tonight, but I'm going to go to sleep in a minute. Also, David Grush is not involved in these videos, guys. He's not involved in these videos, man. People want David Grush to be Edward Lynn. They want him to... They wanted me to be David Grush before I revealed myself. Guys, we got to get away from it. We're putting too much pressure on David Grush as well, man. We need other whistleblowers too. It can't just be one person. Just like it would be very nice if there was at least another person who is reporting on the MH370 videos, so it's just not all me. But whatever. Okay. I do kind of want to do this speech thing. Okay, before we get to the next thing, before we close out for tonight, I do want to quickly look at these videos. I'm going to post some clips from this, and people have done some work as well on the new versions of the videos. God, this is so weird, man. Should I follow this account? Nah, I'm not going to follow it. I'll find you, creepy world. Well, let's see what else they do next. Let's see what else they do next. I never asked for a recreation, just heads up. I asked for the original source files. That's what I've asked for. So I guess we need to set the bar straight on this as well. Because there's just a lot of, what I realized, guys, why this is important is that people are playing games of telephone, and they're making up fake stuff they're making fake quotes for me as well. It just gets completely out of control. So the bar for what the bounty has always been the same. From the very first day that I posted it, you can go look back through all my Twitter posts. You'll see that every single time when I talk about the bounty, the requirement is for the hoaxer to come forward with the source files. The source files means the work that they did when they created the original works. If you create this, I've been doing video editing, right? when you do video editing, you have a whole bunch of work that comes with it. You don't just produce the end product and that's it. You actually have like, oh, now I did the version that doesn't have the plane in it, and now I superimposed the plane over it. Like, you layer the stuff in there, right? So if somebody made these, which they didn't because they're real, then somebody would have all of that source work. Not just pictures of clouds, but like the actual animations, the supposed effect that they did that shows the clouds moving. All of these things would have been layered in. They would have all of that work, probably gigabytes worth of information just for 1-minute videos. This is why VFX is the longest part of movies, because it takes a huge amount of time to do that. And I have a friend who does video editing, and it's extremely time intensive. I know that for certain. So just to be clear, what I've said is that you must provide the source and the hoaxer. That's the requirement for the bounty. It's never changed. It's never changed. Go back and look at all my tweets. Go back and look at it. So stop pushing disinformation about me. Stop making up fake quotes about me. If you want that bounty, that's what you need to do. You don't get to push the boundaries. You don't get to change the goalposts. Not at all. You, just for the debunkers, I'm talking to the Redditors right now, you set the goalposts and said that we can recreate it. In fact, there were posts out there, and I can find the Reddit posts, where the debunkers were saying we need to show how easy it is to remake the videos. That was your goalpost, not mine. That doesn't prove anything. That's just your making yourselves feel better because you could never find a hoaxer and collect 150,000, right? And that 150,000 was out there, you know, because I paid 3,000 just for some password. So hopefully we've set the record straight for the people watching who I know are watching. So you can stop lying now. Thank you. Okay, I think we've addressed all that. Now, last thing we're going to do for tonight. There's some few aspects of these videos. This is the version that is supposedly higher quality. Now, if anyone else can prove that these are higher quality, then we can, that would be a big help. Because we've seen posts, and maybe I'll go and show these here. Here's another good question. Do we know that 2000 is accurate? 2014 date is accurate. Yes, we know 2014 date's accurate because some people actually saw it as well. We know that some people actually saw it, including myself. This is the reason why I actually chose to be one of the people out there, is that I actually saw the drone video back in 2014. I never saw this one, or if I did, I don't remember it, but I saw this drone video. Not this version. I'm pretty sure it was the other one, the other like less quality version. But I saw that one back in 2014. A lot of people have messaged me as well and said they saw it in 2014. And we have it on the Wayback Machine as well. I mean, some people might be able to argue that the Wayback Machine's compromised, but we actually have people, though, that actually saw it in 2014. So just a heads up. Okay. Let me find the Twitter post. So I think it was... Yeah, and we've actually, there's also, there's even like, we have Reddit threads that go back 9 years as well, where people are talking about the videos. So we know 100% the videos are from 2014, without any doubt. That's not really it's not in question at all. So, where is it? Did I not save it? Oh, man. What the... Okay, hold on. Somebody in our Discord did some analysis. I'm going to see if I can find it real quick for you guys. It was from Super Cow. He found some details in this video. Some of them we can see ourselves. Where is it? Oh, man. Boy, I'm going to try to dig around for it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I better save this. All right, I'll just bookmark it. Okay. So... Super Cow from our Discord posted this thread. You can see the hole here very clearly now from the new video, and you can see this if we zoom it ahead a little bit. You can see the hole form right here. Also, I mean, this run right here, I guess nobody else noticed this. So also, I reached out to the person that posted this video, and they now believe this is a completely different video than the one was uploaded to Vimeo. They actually think this is a different one. So I don't know, maybe this is a scam, but this, no matter what, I think this just might alone prove the authenticity. You can actually see the dispersion pattern of the light. Nobody from a VFX perspective is going to add something like this. So unless somebody can give me some explanation for this, and these other little artifacts you see over here as well, yes, they're technically artifacts, but they're artifacts because we're looking at a real video. Look at this. Look at that. So the hole there is one thing. We can see the hole show up. I think this is where he's saying you can see the hole in the cloud from the first orb as well, where it starts to form right here. What is he saying? Oh yeah, there's a little bit of a thing there. So let's see if we can look at that. Let's see. Oh, it already went through the punch through the cloud. Is there a way to go frame by frame? I don't know how to do frame by frame on this. Damn it, I gotta figure it out. Oh well. Well, whatever. Supposedly there's something here. We'll check that out. I'm not buying anything. I'll guarantee you that. I'm not spending any money on any videos at this point. I'm not gonna spend money on anything related to the case, in case any files or anything like that anymore. So that ship has sailed. I've learned my lesson. Don't get me wrong. This also is an interesting one where you can see the bending of the orb because it's going so fast. And so when we saw the fake recreation, you could tell how different it looks, right? Not even close. And that's the part about the science that really checks out, is that a lot of this science, even in 2014, wasn't stuff that was even understood. Now, maybe the bending of an orb isn't that, but the heat signatures that we see from the orbs. I think that one of the strongest aspects of the videos being real is these heat signatures here. These heat signatures showing a magnetic monopole is something that I don't even think was understood by science back in 2014. So that's really big. What else was I going to point out? I think something in the satellite video. Something about the pattern. What was it? You can also see this distortion when the perspective changes, which is really odd. You see that? I mean, this seems like really weird things to have in there. There are, as far as I know, I've never seen another endothermic event in my life. That's another thing as well. Yeah. Control right arrow. No, control right arrow skips ahead too far. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, anyone can recreate anything technically, but the details of this are too elaborate. Just way too elaborate. And then in this version here, you can see more clearly this right here. You can see the door very clearly in this one. You can maybe even make out the windows here, the black windows here. Is this say Malaysian Airlines? Hard to say. Still can't make out the paint on the tail. So you can see that a bit more clearly. And then before, you can see the lines in front of the orbs much more clearly in this version. Like you can see the lines right here and here in front of the orbs. So it does seem like you can see it quite a bit better. Yeah. No threat. You don't know what you're talking about, man. Please don't make stuff up in my chat. I talk to actual scientists and engineers who do know what they're talking about. So I don't need Redditors pretending to know what they're talking about in my chat. Thanks, though. In fact, just don't do that in general in your life. Don't pretend to know stuff that you don't know. It's just really off-putting. I don't know. It's like the biggest thing that Reddit does in general is that they make up stuff they pretend to know when they don't know crap. I don't know why people feel the need to do that. That's not that would happen. We got an endothermic engineer expert over here from No Threat 33, guys. The very large cold space you claim instantaneously returns to the ambient temperature in the air. That's not how that would happen. Yeah, guys, this is why you don't go into chats and pretend to know stuff that you have no idea about. You're just embarrassing yourself, man. Just stop. Do yourself a favor. It's okay to say you don't know. You know, it's okay to say you don't know and you don't know how it will work. You don't have to pretend. Who do I have on my side? Oh, I've got Bob Greenier, who actually does low energy nuclear reactions, saying that it is accurate. But oh, maybe we should listen to random people in the chat who have no idea what they're doing. Anyway. Sorry, we're getting spicy. It's getting late, guys. The trails are actually in front of the orbs. So they're actually not behind the orbs. Just because I know we've got some new people in there as well. Ryan C. So for you, Ryan C., here is a version that should make it more clear to see. You can see that the trails look like they're behind the orbs, but this is actually because there's two ways to look at this. Either this is the atmosphere that's being cooled down from these they're not trails, I guess. They're like in front of the orbs happening. It's because the orbs are moving at a high speed with respect to the plane. So they look like they're behind it, but they're actually in front of the orbs. I think that you could actually see this. Yeah, or we can pull in Sal Pius as well, right? Yeah. Well, No Threat, you're gone, buddy. Congratulations. You can go do something else for the rest of your life. You won't be in this chat. This is why we don't let nut jobs from Reddit in our replies, guys. They're just absolute idiots who just pretend to know stuff that they have no idea whatsoever. And you're right, we run a farm. You never want to be called a Redditor. It's pretty much the lowest form of life on the planet. People that know nothing whatsoever, that pretend like they do, they know everything. The worst people on the planet, man. Never be like that. It's okay to say you don't know, you don't understand something. You don't have to pretend to know everything. Complete losers, guys. Meanwhile, we'll be talking to the engineers and scientists that are out there, and these guys can stew on whatever, CNN or whatever crap that they watch that they think is their authority in the world. So, Ryan, I hope that gives you some perspective of what's going on here. Yeah, it's a dumpster fire, man. It's a complete dumpster fire. Even Bob Greenier on his own subreddit, he's got a moderator that's trying to say that he's got like mental illness problems. I'm going, holy crap, these people are just terrible human beings, man. Completely terrible human beings. Like it's the biggest scum of on the face of the earth. It really is. Yeah, so there was somebody in one of the earlier threads when the investigation had kicked off that argued that it could be, and we don't know exactly, right? Again, it's okay to say we don't know, but it could be that if space is being expanded, then from a thermodynamic standpoint, it's going to be very cold in that area, right? Now, the difference is it should cool off pretty quickly as the molecules kind of go into that area. So, yeah, the black trails are definitely cooling of air because we can see it in the thermal. So we know that it's cool. The question is why. The expansion of air, the expansion of space would be the most logical explanation, I think. And that also seems to fit with this idea of it being a geodesic, a gravity that you're pushing forward. Yeah, Ellie, I think you can use Reddit and not be a Redditor, right? Like, we call it Reddit brain, right? Because you can see it. It's like this gatekeeping mentality. I mean, you guys just witnessed it in the chat, right? Where somebody who has no idea what they're talking about has to pretend like they're an expert and the arbiter of what's real, what's not, what's true, and what's not. You want to do a test, guys? Go to one of the science subreddits and say that the double slit experiment is the most mysterious unknown experiment in physics, you'll have like 50 people telling you how it's been solved and figured out. Like, that's how insane they are. If we could figure out the double slit experiment and how non-locality works and why it works, they'd win a Nobel Prize. And you'll have, like, everybody will dive in and say, oh, it's figured out. No, this is how it really works. Oh, they'll probably even try to debunk it. You're like, well, but what do you mean? Like, we know quantum teleportation is real. We're like literally teleporting pictures. It was done last week. And they'll be like, no, it's not real. It's fake. Like, okay. Man, like that's what I mean. So that's the difference, right? It's and I don't want to give them any more attention, guys, because oh, well, are we banning people? I think this is fine. We don't need to hide Rona. Rona can come back. You guys can relax on the moderation. I'll do the permanent banning of people, guys. But you can remove their comments, but don't permanently ban them. My moderators, please. Thank you. Okay. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for tonight. So my plan for tomorrow is to go through some of these details early in the morning that Cow Milk posted. It is a holiday tomorrow. Rona's fine. I'm not against people asking questions or even being skeptical. I don't care. It's just when people start to gatekeep and make stuff up and, get condescending, stuff like that. That's when it goes over the line, guys. They can go do something else. Yeah, Quizzicoatl here, it gets it, right? It's pure hubris that modern humans assume they know everything about science and what is technologically possible after millions of years of consistent development. I would even argue it's not even millions of years. I mean, since the Industrial Revolution, we haven't even hit 100 years yet. And then you've got people going out there, oh, we know everything there is about science, or science can only be based on what the TV tells me from the most recent scientific papers. Realize that's not how information flows. Social media actually used to be a place where we could get the truth before it was on TV, but now it's been co-opted by the government and propaganda and gatekeeping nonsense where you can't get the truth there anymore because everybody's trying to cut everybody else down and tell them how nothing can be real. We'd be able to advance a lot more if we could get to a point where we had just mutual respect and discussions without everybody trying to debunk everything. Literally every single thing somebody posts, there's always somebody there trying to debunk it. How about instead you try to just explain it? How about you work mutually to try to solve something, right? We know this plane didn't crash into the ocean. Why don't we try to solve what really happened to it instead of trying to debunk other people's ideas, right? And this goes back to my main philosophy, which I'm going to say it again because I haven't said it in like a week, which is you're either somebody who's contributing and coming up with ideas and producing stuff, or you're somebody who's setting up roadblocks, trying to tear stuff down, trying to stop people. From my 20 years of working in the real world, this is what I've realized. You're either somebody who's trying to build stuff up, produce something, do your own, dance to your own music, or you're somebody that's trying to cut everybody else down. Somebody who sees everybody else as a challenge that you need to take down. Be somebody who's being productive. Don't be the person who's trying to tear stuff down. You go through your life trying to tear everybody down, you're going to have a miserable existence. I tell you that 100%. You go through life just trying to produce your own stuff, trying to bring other people up, you are going to be successful in this world. That's just the truth. I have no idea if Real Creepy Stories is going to drop something new. I'm sure I'll be pinged. I got pinged pretty quickly on this one. I woke up and people were already pinging me on the new one that dropped. So we will find out. We will find out. Okay, guys, I think that's good for tonight. I do need to get some sleep, man. It's been a good discussion tonight. We will Punjabi Batman's first hole. For some reason that just makes me laugh. So yeah, tomorrow I'll give you guys a quick recap of what we're going to talk about a little bit. I am going to talk about the fact that nobody has taken the bounty. I might even pull the bounty. I can't decide if I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to talk about how nobody's copyright striked the videos either. That'll probably be my morning post as just a quick introduction. I am going to go through... Oh, that's what I was looking for. And I'm going to talk about how the video accurately represents science. So, I'm going to talk about how it accurately represents the science back from 2014, right? This was, I don't even know if Bob Greenier was still working on this kind of stuff back then, right? So there's a lot of aspects to it that are extremely elaborate. Let me see, what else are we going to do? And then I'm going to go through, I'm going to probably highlight some of Cal Milk's work here as well, and I'm going to probably do a little bit of my own. What I'd like to be able to do is to pull the video up myself and do a little bit of editing on it so I can like do what I was doing there just now, which is, kind of show back and forth. I want to show people that the clouds are moving for sure. Especially like here, I want to edit this so people can see. I think there's already other edits versions of it, but I can probably do it myself. And I want to show the zap here too, because I mean, look at this. My God, look at that. I want to hear what the debunkers come up with on this one. Or let's call them the skeptics. Let's not just call them the debunkers. Let's add a level of respect ourselves. So I want to hear what the skeptics say about this. How are they going to explain this away? That should be an exciting one, guys. How are they going to explain how these clouds are clearly moving here, right? You can see the clouds. Look at the cloud on the left. It's just jiggling back and forth. Oh, they used some After Effects overlay. Okay, which one? What were the settings exactly? Right. Okay, guys. I think that'll be fun. And then after that, we'll see. I've got a whole list of stuff to go over, man. The list is never ending. I've got a bunch of video clips, too, that I can pull. So I also will probably be... I'm going to try to get all my Hard Truths podcasts edited and uploaded as well, because I want to get those onto... first, I want to get them on a podcast list on YouTube. I want to do what I was talking with Alien Scientist as well and try to clip like 1 minute, 2 minute clips in there in general so that they're easily shareable. And those are things I can post during the week as well when I'm working and won't take a lot of time. And I also want to get them uploaded on the audio space as well. A lot of people wanted to listen to the audio. So have a great night, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for chiming in. I appreciate it. And we will talk